Good morning. I hope everybody's doing well. Testing 1, 2, 3. 20 seconds to go. Good morning to Hidden and KB. I am dropping red packets over on Binance Square as well. Oh. Right. Let's get this show on the road. Good morning, everybody. 15th of January 2026. Mike here from Crypto Warehouse with another show. As I've said, we're not going to land an aeroplane on a river today, but we are going to land some alpha on Binance Square and, of course, those watching somewhere else. We've got a lot to get through today. we've obviously got a load of X-Files, which includes some breaking news, which I didn't manage to catch last night when I wrote the show. We're going to be talking about inflows into the ETFs. We're going to be talking about whether we are back or not. We're going to be talking about the floor in stablecoins. We're going to be talking about XRP entering Europe. We're going to be talking about SUI. We're going to be talking about Donald Trump. Why would we never mention Donald Trump? And we're going to be talking about Algo. So it's a wide and varied show today. We do try and mix it up as much as we can. Remember that the headlines tend to be dominated by a certain few number of narratives. You know, the Clarity Act, the Genius Act, the ETFs, they dominate the narrative. It's hard to find news for you guys which is outside of that, because if you go on Twitter yourself, you're going to see that kind of stuff. So we try and bring as much wide and varied information as we can get into the show. And believe it or not, we had a few things missing that we could have included in today that we might stick into tomorrow. And you will notice that there is a new thumbnail. New year, new thumbnail, same me, as I've just said in chat. I think it was time for a change. What I might start to do is look for hoodies that match the background. I know Packer likes the black hoodie because he's a Kiwi. He's from that, you know, where all the trees are and the hobbits live and stuff like that. So I know he likes the black hoodie, but I do try and like mix it up a little bit. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. Let's get in. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, Danny. And I've already said good morning to everybody else. It's a lot busier on Binance Square, and we're going to explain why in 1 minute after we've been through the prices. Of course, I haven't finished the painting and decorating of the UI, so the UI has been stripped. You've just got the menu on the right-hand side. That's the list of things we're going to talk about today. You have some of our sponsors underneath. We're not allowed to show some sponsors on Binance Square, but that's absolutely fine. And, of course, then you have me. Exactly. Right, Bitcoin is coming in at $97,000. This is a lot higher than we were on Tuesday, the last time we streamed. And there's good reasons for that. And I don't know if I'm going to show the chart, the Bitcoin chart today. I might bring up the Bitcoin chart to show you where I think we're going to go to. And again, you can go back over the last 3 weeks and watch any of the videos where I talk about this. I have a specific price target in mind that I think Bitcoin is going to go to before we get rejected and before we come back down for the summer. So enjoy these gains right now. And always remember to take profits. That's the most important thing you can do. There's no point in sitting on a bag of Algo or a bag of HBAR or a bag of Link that's gone up 40, 50% if you hold it all the way down another 50 or 60%. Take some profits along the way. So Bitcoin is having a bit of a run. Ethereum, $3,361 debased dollars. BNB, $940. XRP, $211. Solana is having a think about going to $150. And again, we talked about this on Tuesday as well. Down here, Cardano is back at 40 cents. Happy to see that. Thank you very much, Cardano. Monero appears to have leapfrogged Bitcoin Cash. I think it's moved up to 11th place. Chainlink sitting in 13th. Gainers and losers, I'm expecting to see fireworks in here. Decred, ICP is up. Now, I'm going to let you into a secret. I am going to profit the hell out of ICP. I don't know what we bought ICP at, but I think it ran up to about $11 or $12 last year. We didn't take any profit. This thing goes anywhere near $6 or $7. If it gets anywhere near $6 or $7, we're going to take some profit because I think that puts us in profit for ICP. And then we're going to swap into a different coin. Dash is up. Zcash is up. I'm not buying this privacy narrative. Everybody is telling you to buy privacy coins, and I am the only person that I'm looking around. It's like the body snatchers. Everyone's been stolen and turned into little aliens, apart from me, and I'm going, doesn't make any sense. They're being outlawed. People don't like them. The UAE has just banned them, and yet the price is skyrocketing. Okay, it smells bad. It doesn't smell right, and you know what? By all means, go and make some money out of privacy tokens, but I am certainly not buying any of them. Morpho is up a touch, and look at that, Bitcoin 7th on the 24-hour gainers. Bitcoin dominance, I imagine, is moving up. I don't know, we might have to check that as well. That might be over 60%. Losers then, Lighter, Midnight, Story, Render, Pepe, Canton, World Liberty Financial. Bonk, there's a lot of losers, but I don't think all of them are losers. I think some of them are taking profits. I do think that Lighter may be something that we need to look at. We've looked at Hype. I like the tokenomics of Hype. We've looked at Aster. We all know who's behind Aster. Lighter is the third one on the block. Look at the market cap, 477 million. I think I need to go and have a look at Lighter. Midnight, of course, that's fallen away. That was at 10, 11 cents. That's the coin from Cardano. That's dropped away. Render is down. Render might be a good price to enter as. Again, AI tokens, I think, are going to have a good run this year. World Liberty Financial is basically, it's retraced all the way back to where it was a week ago at 17 cents. World Liberty Financial is going to come under increased buying pressure because of the amount of money being spent on buying tokens from its stablecoin. That is only ever going to go up in value for the next 2.5 to 3 years. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Right then, we're going to move on with some X-Files. We did have the breaking news of Oz winning a prize, but that has been superseded by this, which is the news that I didn't cover because it only happened a few hours ago. I think this was only 6:30 this morning. The Senate Banking Committee has cancelled today's voting on the crypto market structure bill after a CEO, the Baldy CEO, has withdrawn its support. And again, I don't know enough about the ins and outs of it, but I did read a few of the comments about this. And what I will say is that his argument is very simple. No bill right now is better than this bill. So not having any legislation for him right now is better than having this legislation. That's his argument. And again, what tends to happen is they get the foot in the door and they say, right, we're going to now give you everything you want, crypto people. We're going to help you with your stable coins. We're going to help you with your crypto and your DeFi. And then as you get closer and closer to the bill being approved, they slide more and more things under the door. And then you end up getting things like you need KYC on DeFi platforms, you need AML on bank transfers, you need all of these kind of things. Some of them clearly warranted, others absolutely not. Some of them are going to kill the DeFi industry. So again, they do this. They say, yeah, we'll give you some legislation, you can do what you want. And then as it gets closer to the time, they start to sneak things in on the last second before midnight. And that's what they've done. So this has been cancelled. This will go back to the drawing board and they'll work this one out. But that happened really early this morning. Obviously, that's midnight in America, or about midnight in America. So they're working late into the night. You know, look at the, is it Papa John's index near the Pentagon and near the White House, whichever one it is. You can see how late they work by the pizza orders. Now then, this is a big one. This is Crypto Warehouse, as you see down here. Binance is running a 100 BNB giveaway where they are picking content creators, not necessarily the biggest, picking content creators that add value to Binance Square. And every day for 10 days, they're picking 10 winners. And we were lucky enough yesterday to win one of these BNBs. So what we have done is this morning on Binance Square, we've dropped a couple of red packets. We've taken a percentage of that one BNB and we're going to give it away over the course of the next week or two. We're going to give it away in red packets on Binance Square because that's only fair. So if you are watching somewhere else and you want to get some of that prize money, we're doing it on Binance Square. We're not going to be giving it away anywhere else because that's where we've won it. So we've dropped a couple of red packets. I can't do too many because I'm streaming. But maybe on the stream next Wednesday, when myself and the Oracle are going to do the Wolfies night, maybe we'll give away some red packets on the stream there as well. So that is a bit of good news for you. Now, something else that we talked about not that long ago is this, the assets by market cap. And I made this a piece during one of the shows where we were talking about putting everything into perspective. And we talked about the fact that Bitcoin is a top 10 asset. We know about that. But the one thing that's happened very recently is silver has flipped Nvidia to become the second most valuable asset in the world at $5 trillion. Now, what's interesting about that is silver was nowhere. And at one point during one of our streams, maybe last year, maybe the year before, we were talking about Bitcoin flipping silver. And silver is now 2.5 times bigger than Bitcoin. So you've got to put things into perspective. Yes, Bitcoin in 14 years has become the 8th biggest asset in the world. We should applaud that. Adoption is coming. But Bitcoin is the king of crypto. Gold is the king of assets. And you see a lot of people talking about gold and silver and all these kind of things. And yes, one day Bitcoin will be the heir to the throne. Maybe Bitcoin will catch gold. But gold has gone from 20 trillion to 32 trillion, whilst Bitcoin has gone from 1 trillion to 2 trillion. So Bitcoin's moved 1 trillion, gold has moved 12 trillion. Always know the place of the assets. Always know who is boss. Gold is boss, and currently silver is second, okay? They're always going to be in the top 5, the top 6, the top 7. Gold, the only thing that's going to take over gold is Bitcoin. It's the only asset that's going to overtake it. Silver's never going to overtake gold. Gold is the number one asset, and it probably will hold that title maybe for the next 50 to 100 years. Bitcoin's got a long way to go, okay? So yes, we're in this crypto bubble. Yes, it's lovely, but know where Bitcoin's place is. And while we're at it, while we're here, I don't know if we can scroll down just to show you, but I do believe if we go down to 34th position, you will see Ethereum in 34th position. Now, this, of course, was high. This was at 500 billion last year. But again, it's in the same bracket as Palantir, Costco, Alibaba, Bank of America, Netflix. It's in that zone, okay? So again, Ethereum is a top 40 asset. Bitcoin is a top 10 asset. So again, know where your assets are relative to everything else, so you can defend Bitcoin against the people saying it's a scam. But you also appreciate that gold is so much higher. That's why, you know, Peter Schiff always likes to talk about Bitcoin and compare gold to Bitcoin, because he knows that there's just a huge gap between them in terms of asset size. Now, 11.6 million cryptocurrencies died in 2025. Worst year on record, cratering YouTube viewership to its lowest level since 2021. Bitcoin fixes this. Now, we all should know why this has happened, should we not? There is one platform which I think generated about 10 million of these coins, and that is Pump.Fun. Pump.Fun generated this. This isn't an industry-wide problem. This is a problem of the fact that we live in a decentralized Web3 world where anyone can create a token. And that's what they've done. And most of them will fail. If you go out of the door today and you go and create a sandwich business and you've got no shop, you've got no ingredients, you've got no knife, you've got no butter, you've got no wrapping, you've got no table, your sandwich shop isn't going to last very long, is it? No. Neither is a cryptocurrency that you just create a contract for and then advertise it and call it Mike's Crypto. And then you create a Mike Crypto and you tell everybody about it. And then everybody goes and buys $5 worth of it and you make $500 because you pull the liquidity from it. That's what happened for the majority of 2025. And luckily, towards the end of 2025, it started to slow down. Pump.Fun did its token offering or token airdrop or whatever it did. And that, I think, put an end to all of this. So I don't expect 2026 to be as bad as 2025. I think that's an anomaly. I think we'll drop back down. And if you look back at some of the other years, 2021, 2022, 2023, there's a lot of coins failing there. But again, the majority of them were never going to survive. It's a little bit like Dragon's Den. You know, 1,000 tokens are released. One will survive, if that. So you can look at this in one of two ways. You can look at it and say, crypto is just a load of scam, or you can say Pump.Fun was created and it was all hyped around the start of last year, which is the way I would look at it. But again, it's not a good metric, or optic, sorry, for crypto to show that we've had 11.5 million failed tokens. I mean, there are some gaming coins in there, of course. I'm expecting some of the metaverse coins to collapse at some point in the near future. JP Mullen from Mantra actually came out yesterday, the day before, and was talking about laying off staff. It's affecting the industry as a whole, but some will survive and some won't. And this is all about Pump's revenue consistency. Again, this is to balance out what I've just shown you. Pump.Fun has caused 10 million failed tokens to be created. But Pump.Fun makes money on every single one of those coins that's created. And GLC, who we follow, they talk a lot about Maple Finance as well and Hyperliquid. they are highlighting the fact that Pump.Fund makes money. And this is something that I've been talking about ever since we started the channel, but really importantly in the last year. Revenue generating businesses. In fact, I tell you who else was talking about it in one of his videos yesterday, the day before, was Benjamin Cowan into the Cryptoverse. He was talking about the same thing. This is the one thing that when we came to crypto, we didn't understand. And that's why we slated all the meme coins at the very beginning. We said Bonk and Pepe were all a bunch of crap because they didn't make any money. And then they obviously went and ran up to $1 billion and $2 billion and $3 billion. But there's still no value there. There's still no value in the business. It's got value because it's added products to the business. But when the business started, it was just a great big empty warehouse with a Bonk logo on the door. And people were paying to go into an empty building. Now they've fleshed the building out and it has revenue generating parts to it, bots and things like that. So it's different now, but back then it wasn't. And I will probably slate the majority of tokens that are created that have no revenue. And you need to do the same thing. Ask yourself this question. How does this project make money? Not how will it make money in 5 years' time? We're past that now. How does this project make money? Is it trading volume? Is it based off taking fees for certain different things? Is it a shop? How does it make money? That should be the question that you ask yourself. Now then, 21st of January 2026, which is next Wednesday, is the Wolfies quiz over on Binance Square and on the other place as well. The question, the theme of the show, can you have asset revenue backed IP in 2026? That's going to be the question of the show. And I'm going to try and answer that question as best I can. We're going to have prizes. We're going to have the Binance Square Wheel of Fortune. So if you're on Binance Square during the stream and you put your user ID in, we will collate them all and I will make a video like I did for the Maple Finance stream. And then we will pick 3 winners and they will win. And if you finish in the top 3 on the other channel, we will give you a prize for finishing there as well. This is next Wednesday. Today is Thursday. You've got 6 days notice of this. It's 7 p.m. Central European time. So that is 8 hours from now. You have been warned. Oh, I do have TradingView at the bottom. And the reason I've got TradingView is I want to show you this. This is the US dollar. And we've been kind of... Why is it on the 1 hour? There we go. We've been talking about this for a very long time. And I haven't looked at this for a few weeks. You'll know I haven't looked at this for a few weeks. But you will notice this. There we go, we're back. Right. I don't know why, but occasionally I'll open certain websites and it just makes the stream crash. I don't know why. Now, this is what we've been talking about on our videos for probably, let's have a think. Where would we have started? We'd have probably started about here. And the video I made, which was about 2 weeks ago, was Bitcoin Where Next. And in my video, I said... that I think we will get to this line. Now, I don't know where this line is right now because obviously the bull market support band is coming down. I'm sure if we go a little bit lower on the time frame, I can show it you in a little bit more depth. Right. This is where I think we're going to go, which is about $98,500. Okay. Now, that was a long way away when we were down here. And I said at the time, it doesn't take very long for Bitcoin to move. When Bitcoin moves, it moves. Whether that's down, whether that's up, it moves. Now, you are all super happy because we're at $97,000. And fair play, you should be happy because down here, we were at $80,000. And I've said in one of my videos that maybe $80,000 was the bottom of this bear market. It's a 35% correction. Maybe that's the bottom of the bear market. We didn't have the euphoric blow off top. We're not going to have the mass capitulation. Maybe 126 was the top. Maybe 80 was the bottom. We don't know. But that's a pretty good estimate. Now, we have been fumbling up since then, which was November the 21st. And we've been fumbling up, fumbling up, fumbling up, fumbling up. Now, we've got to the moment of truth, which I was talking about. Now, KB has made a decent return from longing Bitcoin to, I think it was 95, something I think he longed it to. I think this and this, I think these are the moments of truth for Bitcoin. I'm not saying that we have to go to only 98,500 because that's not how this works. What we might do is we might have a 98.5 rejection. We might have a 102 150 rejection. And what number is between 98 and 102 is 100,000. Okay? Now, I am no sage. But if I was a betting man, I would say we do this and then we come down. Okay? And I think somewhere in this range is where we get the rejection. Now, you can look back over any part of Bitcoin's history when it gets to significant numbers and you can find Bitcoin getting a rejection. Now, a rejection does not mean we do this and we go down in a straight line. It means we rebound from it. So imagine you run into a wall, you don't stop, do you? You hit the wall and you bounce back. Okay? The same way when you're on a trampoline and you're up here and you bounce on that trampoline, and the harder you bounce, the harder you go. This is where we get rejected if we are going to go into the rest of the bear market. This is where we get rejected, around this area here now. So this is Bitcoin's date with destiny. Destiny being, is the 4-year cycle over? Are we entering a different period where Bitcoin simply just stops listening to the 4-year cycle? Or is this the relief rally, which is what I think it is, that takes us back to the bull market support band and then brings us down again? Which one is it? That's the question. Now, trust me when I say this. I want to be absolutely wrong, and I would love to be at $110,000 in February. More than anything in the world for you guys, I want to be wrong. But history is based on people telling you what you want to hear. And my job is not to tell you what you want to hear. My job is to tell you what I think is right, which also means I can be wrong. But if I'm right, at least you're mentally prepared for what's coming. And what's coming might not be as bad as everybody tells you either. Again, we could come back down to this kind of line that I've drawn. You know, we could come back down to 90,000, 88,000. Maybe we come down there. That's a $10,000 correction. That's decent at this stage of the market. But 98.5, 100 and a bit, 102,000, I think we get rejected. What reason do we have to just break through 100,000 and keep going up? We don't. There's nothing out there. You've got potential conflict about to start around the world. You've got what we're going to talk about later. You've got Trump wanting to buy a country, a democratic country. Trump wants to buy it. We've got other things going on in different places that we can't mention. We've got the possibility of China moving in to Taiwan. All of these things are on the horizon, and probably some of them are going to come true in 2026. So if we look at that, what's the golden fleece? What's the thing that we're looking for? The thing we're looking for is Powell to go in May. And May, I think I've drawn it on the chart. Did I not draw it on the chart? There we go. So I think this here, this red line, is a new Fed chairman. Now, the Fed chairman is going to push for rate cuts. And what Trump is trying to do is fill the Fed with Republican figures because he wants to win the vote. I think there's 7 of them. Is there 7 or 11 Fed chairman? I can't remember. But anyway, there's an odd number. and they need to come to a consensus to cut rates. So Kevin is going to come in here. So between now, so this whole period now, I think is uncertainty. So I think we get rejected and we come down and we wobble around here, and then we get a rate cut, and then we get the money printing, and remember Bitcoin lags the money printer, and then we'll go up. And my prediction is we end 2026 higher than we started it. That's my prediction. And if we do that, we've had the best bear market we've ever had. The nicest, smoothest slope down, had a bit of bearish news. We haven't really capitulated. We then get the new Fed chair. We get Venezuela sorted out. We get Greenland sorted out. We get everything else sorted out. And then we start to move up towards the end of the year. That's the plan. That was not intended for this stream. I was going to make a video on that, but there you go. Maybe I'll have to do that video again. There's a few people who have come into chat that I should probably say hello to. I think I've already said hello to Solo Sky. Welcome, Vivek. I think that's you. Good morning, Kishan. I hope you are well. Let's move on. I don't want to dally too much. Crypto ETF inflows reach 2026 high. Fear and greed breaks above 50. Is market recovery underway? Again, these are the kind of headlines you're going to see. Now, last year, I was not a fan of buy the rumor, sell the news, and I was more a fan of follow the macro. The Oracle and KB are buy the rumor, sell the news. 2026 is the year of me buying the rumor, sell the news, because it's as if everybody has become a goldfish. It's back to that body snatchers thing again. Everybody around me is buying privacy coins, and I'm going, but they're all going to be banned. Where are you going to trade them? You're going to have to trade them on DEXs. How do you get the money out of the DEX into your bank account? So I don't see that. This is the same thing again. Is market recovery underway? My answer, before even reading any of this article, is we don't know yet. We are having a relief rally, which is going to hit resistance, and then we're going to come down again. So are we now going to see the article in 4 or 5 weeks' time? Crypto ETF outflows reach 2026 high. High, fear and greed. That falls below 20. Is the bear market underway? That's going to be this headline probably on Valentine's Day 2026 if we get rejected. And it will probably be published by Crypto Daily, and I'll probably bring this up and I'll say, do you remember when they told you that it was all okay, and now they're telling you it's not okay? Because they are not following what I think is going to happen. They are just simply going, number go up, market back, which I don't think is the case right now. So, crypto ETFs just saw a new year high of 883 million, surpassing the previous peak from early January. Institutional demand is back as sentiment improves and Bitcoin reclaims key levels. Early signs of market recovery are forming. And we do want a market recovery because we don't want to go down in a straight line. But I don't think we're going to go down in a straight line because of what I've been telling you for weeks. 2021, the end of the bull run, was, you know, if you had to write down what happened after the bull run, FTX, Luna, Celsius, they all absolutely smashed the market. We've not had one of them. We've not had one, and we're approaching the middle of January. We've not seen these dead bodies floating downstream, have we, from the October crash? So if we don't have the dead bodies, we don't have the panic. If we don't have the panic, we don't fall. And I think that is 2026 is the middle-aged man watching the Masked Singer eating his curry with his naan bread. That is 2026 in a nutshell. It's not super exciting. He's not drinking champagne out of somebody's something. He's just sitting there watching the Masked Singer trying to guess if it's Judith Chalmers or not. That's what it is. It's going to be boring, but boring is good in a bear market. We want a boring bear market because it means we don't have the collapse, which is what we don't want. The fresh peak in ETF inflows suggests institutional investors are returning to the market after a period of consolidation. Remember, December was never going to be good as far as ETFs are concerned because many places go on holiday for 2, 3, 4 weeks. A good way of looking at this is look at school holidays. Forget looking at traders. Look at family life. You know, they all want their 2.4 children. When do kids go on holiday? Easter, summer, Christmas. When do traders take their holidays? Easter, summer, Christmas. You're going to have a period of downtime during which they don't do anything. Yes, you have the Santa rally, but that is to do more with, I think, the insurance companies selling and buying than anything else. But still, we do have the Santa rally, there is true, but the volume isn't as high. So I think that when we look at stuff like this, we need to say, well, how long have the kids been back at school? A week. How long have the traders been back? Probably about the same time, about a week. So are we expecting the volumes to go up now? Yes, of course we are. And they will probably go up towards April or whenever Easter is this year. That's how I would look at things, because I think that's the way, you know, the practicalities of life get in the way. In an ideal world, you'd have 365, 24/7, 365 trading, and you'd be able to look at it and say, well, we've got no external factors on this. It's all just, you know, computer generated. But there are human beings that work in companies. And that human being that might phone Mr. Richman, he's not going to phone him on December the 24th, is he? No, of course he's not, because Richman is in the Hamptons. Is he going to phone him on January the 1st? No, he's not. Is he going to phone him on January the 10th or the 12th? Hey, Duke, how was your holiday in the Hamptons? Did you catch any sharks? Oh, yeah, it was brilliant. Listen, that 100 million you want to go and put into crypto, I'm thinking Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. What do you think? Oh, yeah, that's great. Okay, I'll put the $100 million through for you now. That happens the second week of January. It was never going to happen Christmas week or New Year's week. So these things get loaded. So what we could see moving forward another 3 or 4 weeks is we could actually see the volume start to fall as the catch-up has happened and everybody's back at the desks and all those orders have been processed and all those inquiries have been dealt with. So we're going to see probably a good few weeks. But we didn't really see a bad January last year. If you remember, we topped on January the 19th because of Trump. So we had our best start to the year. If you go back the year before, it was crap. Absolutely crap. But last year was good because of Trump. And then what happened on the 19th and 20th? The backside fell out of the market. Bang. Now, I don't think we're going to see that this year, but I think we'll see a cool down. So, I think we should be happy to see these ETFs. I think you need to keep an eye on the XRP ETF. You need to keep an eye on the Solana ETFs because they are going to tell you how the market really is. They're brand new. We've seen massive inflows into XRP. We've seen big inflows into Solana. We keep an eye on those two. Bitcoin, Ethereum, they've been around for a while. They give us an idea of the sentiment, but sentiment isn't hunger. Solana and XRP will show us how hungry the market is. That's also something we need to take into account. Now, moving on. Are we back? Crypto is green. Solana in turn goes rogue. Pump.fun is up 13%. Monero hits another all-time high. Again, the narrative is we're so back. This is actually a bit big. The narrative is that we're so back because we've had a few green days. And there's a lot of little bits of news in this one, which is why I included it, because I didn't want to just have 56 X-Files. So the Senate committee, that's going to start voting. We've already said that's been delayed. Athena Labs has made USDE free from gas fees. Very, very big. Bitdeer overtakes Mara on managed hash rate. Polygon Labs, which again I didn't include, they have bought 2 companies, not just one. They've paid $250 million for CoinMe. Bitpanda is looking at a Frankfurt IPO. CZ invests in perp trading platform Genius, which he talked about on his X account. CoinGecko looks to sell at $500 million. It's absolutely not worth that. Russia to open crypto markets. Crypto wrench attacks continue in France. Pakistan integrates World Liberty Financials. We've covered some of those. I think I've already mentioned this to you. France is home to, I think it's 28% of all crypto crime is in France. 28% is in France. I don't even know how you get to 28% of all crypto. That's all crypto crime in the world. So if you get kidnapped for your crypto, there is a 1 in 4 chance that happens in France. So my advice is simple. Don't go to France. Okay? Don't go anywhere near France. Is that it? I thought there was more to this article than that. I only scrolled down the first bit. Yeah, anyway, we'll move on then, because we are running late as always. And let's see if we can get through more of this. I did think I don't know whether the article's been truncated, because I definitely remember reading more than that. Right then, Vitalik Buterin flags stablecoin design flaws. This is something which he is starting to be out in the world a lot more than he was last year and the year before. And I think he's taken some advice, because for me, no blockchain survives without a leader, apart from Bitcoin. And I've said that before as well. And Vitalik has been popping up every day on the newsfeed, and I'm trying to actively not include him because he's popping up on the newsfeed all the time. So, Vitalik says decentralized stablecoins have flaws. That's the article, and this is the bit that I want to cover. Decentralized stablecoins many existing systems rely on fragile assumptions that could break down over time. He laid out what he described as 3 core challenges that remain unsolved. Rather than promoting a specific project or proposing a new stablecoin, he framed the post as a critique of how decentralized stablecoins are designed and why those designs may not hold up over the long term. At the most basic level, stablecoins are designed to maintain a stable value with the dollar. While some are issued by companies that hold dollars or dollar equivalent assets, such as Circle, such as Tether, such as USD1, others are based on assets like Bitcoin. Now, I have an issue with this one. He acknowledged that tracking the dollar makes sense in the short term. He argued that systems meant to be resilient to political or economic shocks should not be tied indefinitely to a single national currency. Over long time horizons, he wrote, even moderate inflation could erode the usefulness of a dollar peg. Buterin suggested that future stablecoins might instead track broader price indexes or measures of purchasing power rather than the dollar alone. Absolute nonsense. The second issue involves oracles, the mechanisms that supply the blockchains with real-world data such as asset prices. Blockchains cannot access external information directly. They rely on oracles to report prices. If an oracle can be manipulated by someone with enough capital, the entire system becomes vulnerable. Again, I don't agree with that one either. Is this an actual post then that he talks about? The third problem he discussed was staking yield, which he described as a hidden source of tension. On Ethereum, staking involves locking up Ether to help secure the network in exchange for yield, but when stablecoins are backed by staked Ether, users face an implicit trade-off. The staking yield earned by the collateral competes with the returns stablecoin users could otherwise earn. According to Buterin, this creates a situation where stablecoin holders are effectively accepting lower returns, which he described as a suboptimal outcome. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire article. I will pick them one by one. The oracle, in this instance, will be Chainlink. The oracle is not a problem, okay? He's highlighting an issue which exists with every stock exchange around the world, and it's an issue that Binance had. It's very unlikely that these types of things are going to be affected by the oracle. That's number one. The first one, which is the dollar as a reference point. The dollar is the reserve currency of the world. If the world reserve currency became gold, for example, then over time you would see a lot more gold-backed stablecoins. But the issue isn't anything to do with that. The issue is to do with people's psyche. If I say to you, you have $1,000, it gives you a reference point. If I say you've got €1,000 or £1,000, you've got a reference point in your head. Maybe it's an iPhone. Well, an iPhone 10 or whatever, 12 or whatever. $1,000, £1,000, €1,000. If I say to you, you've got 1,000 wangles, you need to keep hold of your 1,000 wangles because you make 5% APR on your wangles. The first thing you're going to do, if I tell you about your wangles, is you're going to go and look at the value of wangles in dollars. That's simple as that. If I send 10 million wangles to Tariq, what's the first thing Tariq is going to do? He's going to work out what those wangles are in dollars. And if it's worth $50, $60, he might sell the wangles and buy dollars. So, again, practicality it's BS. This is utter BS. Okay, this does not work, and will not work for 99% of society. Okay, just because you're a genius doesn't make your ideas brilliant. You have to have a reference point in people's head. Why does Bitcoin struggle at $1,000, $10,000, and $100,000? What makes those numbers so significant? It's the psyche. Why does Ethereum struggle at $3,000, $4,000, $2,000? Why does Solana struggle at $150, $150? Why? Because it's part of your psyche. Bots, yes, are used by exchanges. They don't care about the price. They trade. They go up. They go down. They trade. But a human being will go, oh, Bitcoin's at 100,000. It's gone quite high. I'm going to sell some. Oh, Ethereum's hit $4,000. I'm going to sell some. $3,000. I'm going to sell some. You have to have a reference point. So I think that's nonsense as well. I think his first point is nonsense. His second point is nonsense. And his third point is also nonsense. My opinion is, very simply put, you should be able to stake A and earn any other letter of the alphabet. I want to be able to stake Ethereum and earn Solana. I want to be able to stake Ethereum and earn dollars. I want to be able to stake Bitcoin and earn Ethereum. Okay? Binance and decentralized platforms, within reason, all have the capabilities of doing this. What's the first thing people say to you about Bitcoin? Never sell your Bitcoin, borrow against it, because the value of Bitcoin will always go up higher than your loan. Okay? People tell you, like Vitalik, stake your Ethereum, earn Ethereum. Okay. I don't know if he's noticed, but Ethereum's been at $3,200 for about 2,000 years. It doesn't bloody move. It's more of a stable coin than Luna's UST was. So he can say that, oh, it's, you know, but put it this way. If I've got $100,000 worth of Ethereum staked and I'm earning $3,000 a year in cash, $250 a month, he's then thinking, well, you're clearly just going to sit on that cash. Maybe that's what people are living on. Maybe they want to use that cash to go and buy Solana. So he's looking at it as a missed opportunity. But he's not looking at it with the eyes of everybody else. If people earn Ethereum on their Ethereum and they need to pay their electricity bill, they're going to sell it for dollars or whatever currency they're in. So he's not understanding the problem. The problems with stablecoins are not to do with what he's talking about. The problems with decentralized stablecoins all come down to having enough assets to back the collateral of when there is a price drop. So if you have $100,000 worth of Bitcoin and you issue $100,000 worth of Mike's stablecoin, and then the price of Bitcoin drops 33%, I have $66,000 worth of Bitcoin backing $100,000 of Mike's stablecoin. And that does not work, does it? Because if you want to redeem it, you're going to get 66 cents back in the pound. So what you have to do is you have to have $150,000 worth of Bitcoin to back $100,000 worth of Mike's stablecoin. So if it does drop by a third, you've still got a 1-for-1. That's the issue. And you've got people like, you know, Charles has solved this problem and then that disappeared. Athena claimed to have solved that problem. There's depegging risks all over that. The only thing you can do really is have a stable coin that is backed with debt from a country, and that country is America. That's the only real solution you've got. Yes, I'm sure there's going to be a pound, there's going to be a euro, there's going to be whatever else it might be. There's going to be different currencies, but which one are you going to hold? You're going to hold the dollar. How many years into the future do we need to go to not hold the dollar? That would be the question. Now, Ripple wins major e-money license in Luxembourg as company eyes European expansion. Again, I wouldn't eye a European expansion if you paid me. I would stay as far away from Europe as possible. But being that they want to be a bank and cross-border payment solution, they're going to have to do it. I just think they're going to get tied in knots. The preliminary A license was approved in Luxembourg and was issued in the form of a green light letter from the regulator, making a key step towards Ripple receiving its full EMI authorization, subject to relevant conditions. Luxembourg's financial regulator, the Commission de Surveillance du Secteur Financier, had issued an initial approval for an electronic money institution license. Gaining our approval was a pivotal step, enabling Ripple to provide essential digital asset infrastructure to our clients across Europe, says Cassie Craddock, Ripple's managing director for the UK and Europe, she said in a statement. Now, I would say one thing. If you want to look for a case study of Ripple and how Ripple is expanding, I would look at Chainlink. It took Chainlink 6 years to get to where they are now, and that was without being sued by the SEC in America. Ripple are in South America, they're in America, they're in Asia, they're now in Europe, and they're doing a similar system, similar build out as Chainlink are doing. The thing is, we don't know if it's going to work until it's working. If I was to put my money on it working or not, I'd put my money on it working. But again, let's say some of this news comes out and XRP goes to $4 or $5. I'd be looking at selling some of my Ripple and taking profits. And I think the issue is we need to see Ripple getting a lot of volume for it to maintain its business size, which is $100 billion. So Ripple's going to have to go some. Is today, if I was to say to you, would I own shares in PayPal or would I own shares in Ripple? I would own shares in PayPal. If you were to ask me if I wanted to own shares in Ethereum or Ripple, it would be Ethereum. I would hold Ethereum over holding XRP. But the upside potential in the Wolf of Wall Street analogy is absolutely massive, and if it works, it is easily a $100 billion company. But again, we're back to that question: how does it make money? It doesn't at the minute. Now that's not good, is it? Is it down? Let's try that one again. If this doesn't load, it's not a problem. I can tell you what this was about. Okay, we're not going to bring that one up, are we? Basically, Sui went down. Now, Sui is the blockchain, which is faster, bigger, stronger, all those other things than everything else in the universe, according to Raoul Pal. And it was down for several hours yesterday. Maybe the issue isn't the blockchain. Maybe it's Raoul Pal, because since Raoul Pal left to go and be a part of the ambassadorship with Sui, Solana hasn't gone down. When he was an ambassador of Solana, it kept going down. Now he's with Sui, Sui's going down. So maybe Raoul Pal is the reason that blockchains collapse. Maybe they collapse under the weight of Raoul Pal. That's something to bear in mind. But it's been down. It was down for several hours, maybe 4, 5, 6 hours. They fixed whatever it is. It's now back online. You can't really have a blockchain go down, in my opinion. I know Solana went down for 4 or 5 times in 2023 or whatever it was, and then it went down maybe 2 years ago. Hasn't been down now for a long time. Teething problems, yes, I get that. Now, someone just bet $100,000 on Polymarket that Trump will buy Greenland. I have seen a figure of $500 billion to buy Greenland. And if I was Donald Trump, for $500 billion, I would buy Greenland. I think it's a snip to own Greenland. But the problem is that Greenland is a democracy. And I don't think Trump lives in the real world where you can't buy and sell democracies. It's not really the done thing, is it? Obviously, I have very close ties with Gibraltar. They have what's called self-determination. Self-determination means that the people of Gibraltar decide on their future. So if they want to remain English forever and a day, they will remain English forever and a day. If they want to join Spain, they have self-determination. They can decide to do that. I don't know about Greenland because Greenland falls under Is it Finland or Denmark? Greenland falls under Denmark. And again, why is this thing on my screen? This really annoying pop-up. Bloody AI. A single trader has placed $100,000 on the unlikely outcome that President Trump will acquire Greenland before the end of 2026. If the bet pays out, he will collect $586,000. I don't think it's worth the bet, really, do you? 5.8x? Nope. Implying a strong conviction in that a scenario that most governments involve publicly dismissed. Max Verstappen. Interesting. Data for the market shows the bet was made at an implied probability of 16%, reflecting relatively low expectations but offering an asymmetric payoff. Since then, the market has climbed. Now it's got an 18% chance of the markup. Now remember, you can place a bet for $100,000 on something happening on Polymarket, and the market can move to the point where you could sell that for $110,000 before the bet completes. That's how Polymarket works. But we're not here to talk about gaming. We're here to talk about the fact that Greenland is likely to be bought by Donald Trump. So basically, the Danish officials are now in America, in Washington, D.C., holding talks with Donald Trump. Now, this is a macro play, and I don't want to get too much into this because it's not really that kind of channel. But basically, if you're going to... Let's take a step back. Trump came into power and said he would end all the wars. Wars will be over within 6 weeks of me being in power, or 100 days of me being in power. That's what he said. Putin had other ideas. Now, how does Russia make money? A lot of it's from oil and gas. It's been discovered that the EU and the UK and America, they blew up the gas pipeline, so that cut the pipeline off to Europe, which has caused problems. So then what would happen is the oil that Putin was selling was going via Venezuela, which is now under American control. The second element of that is that if you want to sail your lovely little submarines out of your ports, you have to go through a strait by Greenland. So what Trump is doing is playing chess. He has basically seized Venezuela, which is where Russia was sending its oil. So Russia can't do that anymore. And he's threatening to buy Greenland, and he won't buy Greenland. What he'll do is he'll end up with a big chunk of Greenland to build a base there to monitor the seas. So what he's trying to do is put a massive amount of pressure on Vladimir Putin. That's what this is all about. It's applying pressure to Putin to end the situation that we have, which is also coming close to an end. But Venezuela also cuts off Russia and China from Venezuela. Greenland is a strategically important place as far as Russia is concerned. So I think, very simply put, Trump is playing chess. That's all he's doing. He has no care in the world about Greenland. Doesn't care. He probably paid it a visit to actually find out where it was. That's what I would say. But anyway, that's my opinion on why this stuff is going on. It's chess. It's to basically put a stranglehold on China and Russia. That's what it's about. Good morning, Manjeet. I hope you are well. Right then, very last question, or very last point then. We've actually got a little bit of time to talk at the end of the stream, which is really, really good. 11:54. We've done quite well, considering. Now then, Algorand Foundation relocates to US to accelerate real-world tokenization. The Algorand Foundation said it will return to the US. The move involves re-establishing the foundation's headquarters in Delaware from Singapore and appointing a newly constituted board of directors to lead a strategic pivot towards institutional finance and global payments. The foundation's return to its American roots originated from research at the MIT and aligns with a 2025 roadmap focused on real-world asset tokenization and payment infrastructure. By incorporating in Delaware, the foundation aims to leverage the state's predictable corporate governance framework to better engage with US-regulated financial institutions and enterprise partners. The new appointed board, list of people that you've never heard of there. As the world of finance moves 100% on-chain, institutions will demand platforms that are secure, fast and programmable, said Bill Barheit. I think that's right. Algorand checks all of these boxes. I look forward to advancing on-chain markets that provide real utility The strategic vision emphasizes high-impact use cases such as instant global payments and decentralized identity systems. Current projects like Hesab Pay for cross-border remittances and Folks Finance for collateralized debt illustrate the network's shift towards functional financial products and speculative activity. Now, towards the end of Gary Gensler's reign, towards the end of the Biden era, we were seeing many companies leave America. We saw them go to Europe. Notably, they went to the UK. We've seen them go to Singapore. We've seen them go to Hong Kong. We've seen them basically up sticks and leave America. Now, I don't know, and maybe it will come out in the press in a few years' time. I don't know why America chose that route. There are some theories. The banks basically controlled the Democrats. The billionaires controlled the Democrats. They were basically saying crypto is basically bad for our business, outlaw it. Maybe it's something as simple as that. But Algorand is not the first company to do this. There are many companies who have moved back to America in the last 12 months. And there is a window of opportunity that I spoke about a year ago. What Trump and crypto have to do in this 4-year block is to get Web3 into every single financial institution in America. So when and if the Democrats win the next election, they can't roll out Choke Point 3.0. And that involves IPO listings. So we've seen Circle, Tether, we've seen the exchange, the one exchange that was allowed because they played by the books. We've seen all the major companies, BlackRock, Goldman Sachs. We've all seen them take it on. Vanguard are now offering crypto funds. So we've done a lot in 1 year, and it is a week away from his first year. He's got 3 years left. He's done a lot in 1 year. I can't begin to imagine where we're going to be in 3 years' time from here. I couldn't imagine we'd be here a year ago, but here we are. So I think what we need to see is this bipartisan bill being brought in for the Genius, for the Clarity Act. We need to see the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve being brought in somehow. And most importantly, we need to see these companies making money in America, because money is political weight, political clout. If Algorand is suddenly making $100 million a year, they can afford to give Donald Trump $2 or $3 million here or there to help him with his campaign, or JD Vance, or whoever takes over. Maybe Donald Trump Jr. is going to stand in the next election. But this is massively bullish for crypto. And the one thing I would say is Europe is absolutely finished when it comes to blockchain technology. And because this is the fourth industrial revolution, or fifth, whichever one you want to call it, Europe is over. I think the project of Europe is coming to an end. It's failing, not as individual countries. Obviously, there's business there. It's a block of 350 million people, or however many people there are. It's a big place. But the EU are just so slow. They're so slow. Trump in 1 year has moved 10 years in the speed of Europe. And I'm critical because I think they're missing a trick. Europe has some of the brightest minds in the world. The UK has some of the brightest minds in the world. And at the minute, they're all leaving for Dubai. So Dubai wins, America wins, Europe and the UK lose. And that is, as a Brit, it's heartbreaking to see. So I think this is great for America. I think it's great for crypto. Not so good for the rest of the planet in that respect. Now then, it is exactly. You know what? I've not moved my clock to the right place. Let's move that down there. Where should we stick it? Let's stick it there. At 12 p.m. The Oracle. What day is it? Thursday. The Oracle is streaming in 8 hours tonight. I'm going to set up his stream in a second. The Oracle will be back. I think I need a haircut. Now, the other thing is, one thing I wanted to talk to you about. I haven't made that many videos this week. I made about 4 videos last Thursday and Friday, which I put live. Today's Thursday. I haven't made any videos yet. I'm probably going to make a couple of videos today, tomorrow, and Saturday. I'm certainly going to make a catch-up video about Bitcoin because I think we're at that point now. We've got the destiny is on the horizon. We're going to make a video about that, and we're going to live stream the quiz next Wednesday. The Oracle is back tonight. I am back tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. I might do a Maple Finance stream over on Binance on Saturday because I haven't done a Maple Finance stream for a couple of weeks. I might do one of them over there. And apart from that, enjoy your Thursday. That's what I would say to you. Enjoy your Thursday, and thank you, everybody, for coming. I will see you all in the morning. The Oracle is back tonight with his show. Make sure to tune in and say hello to the Oracle, and I will see you in the morning. Take care.